My biggest problem is I always forget what episode this is. I think this is episode 8. Welcome everybody to episode 8. Is it episode 8? I think it's episode 8. I need to do a better job
It
checking
is.
on that.
It is episode 8.
It's episode 8. Welcome to episode 8 of the AI Advantage Show. We're so happy you're here. So if you're a marketer, business owner, AI enthusiast, entrepreneur, we're glad you're here. We've got some great updates for you, some good trends. And today we're going to be talking about how you can use ChatGPT and AI for creative brainstorming. Really excited. Who do we have today, Kim?
So today we have Katie Richman, and I was going to do this really fancy intro on Katie, but literally there's so much to say about her that I don't even know where to begin. So I'm going to let Katie take it away because I'll put her on the spot and let her do the hard work.
I love being on the spot. Hi, everybody. And
Hey.
Kim and Colin for having me. We just did like 15 minutes of talking, and I was like, I'm going to tell you these stories later. So that was really fun. So it's really fun for me to be here because I'm coming most recently from working at Meta. I still call it Facebook for 8.5 years. I did a whole bunch of things there. So I'll give my really quick, I'm old. So I've been working, came out of school as an English major in 2001, jumped into TV in New York. I was just obsessed with like the pace and the I loved working with creatives. I was at TV Land and Nick at Night at first, where the thing I learned there was they took old programming that was very low value, pennies on the dollar, bought it all up, then hired stand-up comics to write spots, and they retold all of these stories. So I kept that kind of in my back pocket, like as a creative. Went to Oxygen Media. There were a whole bunch of us who did. The head of Nickelodeon co-founded it with Oprah, so kind of funneled over there. Went around the country as a production manager, but of like short promos. Got married. My husband and I were like living in a shoebox. So we moved to Connecticut, and I was going to go to an agency actually. And I did for 2 months. This is the only time I've left a job so fast. ESPN called me. My resume had been floating around. I'm not a sports girl, but this was a job with X Games. So I love the brand. I'm more like you guys, like a market brand person. Jumped in. It's me, Kim. No, just kidding.
Don't call us while we're on the show, Katie.
Not on the show. I'm like, what am I doing? So I jumped in because they had seen I had been a production manager, and they thought so I jumped into live TV. X Games was a hell of a ride. There would be 3 live venues going at a time. I had a hell of a boss, Christy Dockman, who she taught me everything I knew. So I got a lot of my operations from there.
Cool.
Wanted to have a family, so I wanted to get off the road, kind of pitched a job where it was a 200-person remote production team. And I said, we need a central business unit. So I did that as a manager. And at the last minute, I grabbed new technology. I was like, I was saying my dad got me into new tech. So I would do like, what are we going to do with Facebook? Flip video cams. How can we use those in segments? So became like a prophet for social media, starting with Twitter back in the day. I had my mentor there, started ESPNW. So I jumped over there as her first employee. She made me a director of social media. So I think I was the first one there as the director of social media. X Games came back and went on global. We went around the world to 6 locations. And and so I did social media for them. And then Facebook called and they wanted someone with the TV experience. So my family's amazing. We packed up and moved all the way across the country. And then I worked there generally with external developers and internal engineering teams, trying to get developers their feature needs on the list internally, which is a whole art. And then by the end, I was working in the new product experimentation team with 25 teams around the world. We had teams in Nigeria and South Korea. And I was in the middle doing kind of partnerships, which was actually more like plugging teams in to the beast that is now Meta. And then to kind of took advantage of the layoffs. This is, it's been really fun to do these because Facebook's very tight on comms, and I had to say no to a lot of podcasts.
Sure.
So that was my blog started, it's kind of like exploded. I had a lot to say about the metaverse. I'm obsessed with AI and have been doing this ever since. I have a blog, which we'll put up later, called Technormal. I consult, and I'm also in an incubator for ex-Meta founders where we're working with AI.
Very cool. Very
So you're
exciting.
not busy at all. You're
Just
just
a little
No.
bit. My career path is hard, and I'm sorry if that bored people, but it's sort of like it all informs the conversation that we're
Yeah.
having now.
Oh,
And
No,
absolutely.
totally.
I'm a
Yeah.
creative and a brand and a marketer at heart, so I love
Yeah.
these
No,
combos.
that's awesome. I mean, no, yeah, I come from a production background, so I love
Oh, you
that.
do?
And kind of like at a school, I got my start in like TV news. So I just remember
Sweet.
when,
All
especially
the
when you're
same.
talking about ESPN and Twitter and stuff, like Twitter was the one thing where like, hey, if you were doing like sports producing or something, like all of the news was on Twitter. Like that's
Oh
what
my
got
gosh.
me on Twitter
I
originally.
did
Was
all the
I
original
had to be.
talents, like Sage
Yeah.
Steele and then like Rebecca Lobo and Sports Nation, and helped those guys get off the ground. And I didn't do it. They
Yeah.
were all amazing people there, but early
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, I mean, so that was like like sports was really pioneering social at
Yes,
that time,
still
like
is.
around
Still
2007,
is.
2008.
Maybe
Yeah.
not AI, but they will be.
Yeah, not yet. So,
They will be.
but yeah, we're so happy to have you here, and obviously your experience. And I'd love to know if you ever did any adult. You say you worked at Nickelodeon. If you did Adult Swim, I guess that's Cartoon Network. But
It is,
kind
but
of,
it's all, I'm not even 100% of like Viacom and who and what is what, and MTV still in the
yeah.
air. TV's tipping over. That's a whole podcast that you guys can talk
I know
about. But
we have a lot we could talk about.
yeah, I'm both sad. It's both sad and inevitable. And
Yeah,
I think of these things now as it's stories, right? So whether
yeah,
you're producing,
exactly.
I was amazing watching live sports because I thought live, you're following the story. No, they write storylines. There's
Yeah,
heroes, there are villains. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't always
totally.
go. And then those guys have to, on a dime, switch their stories.
Yeah,
So it was both
exactly.
terrifying and exhilarating to sit in those
Yeah.
rooms and watch
Yeah,
them go
live
live.
TV is definitely like when you're working in that environment, you see like who can handle the stress and
Oh
who's
my God,
so fast
yes.
paced. It's a lot of fun.
It was
So
kind of like a ring of fire by the time. If you get to be a
yeah,
director or coordinating producer, God bless you. I could never do
yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, what we're here to talk about today is how you're using ChatGPT for brainstorming, and I'd love
Yes.
to hear kind of just how you're doing that, how others can do that, and any other AI tools that you're using, and we'll kind of just go from there.
Yeah, completely. I'm a chat GPT girl. I'll say that right now. So I think the world's kind of bifurcating into the visual tools. Doesn't mean you have to choose, but the visual tools and the more not text-based, but word-based conversational tools. You don't have to pick a lane. I hate when people do that. I just happen to gravitate. I'm a writer. I gravitate towards chat GPT. And that's a lot of what I blog about. I think like I'm kind of, one of my goals is to not demystify it. It's not like I know everything about it, but as I say a lot, you can't break it. I say this to my parents a lot. You're not going to break chat GPT by trying it. You're also not going to put your family's address online. You can have these conversations in safe ways behind the scenes. It's not public. It's kind of a private conversation. So my recommendation is, if you're like me anyway, I can't recommend on the visual tools. You'll have to get an expert, but starting with ChatGPT, the free version, it's kind of like signing up for a Gmail. Just try it. And I would say start at home. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I didn't even tell these guys, was, so I've been playing, I had a conversation with Pi live like a couple weeks ago. I think I did on Facebook Live, using the new tool that is a live phone conversation. So it's not text send, it's a little phone icon, and you call Pi, and now ChatGPT just came out with this. So in the past month, it's dripped down to like I'm a $20 a month user, but it's coming. You can try it on pi.ai is the tool that you can get it today. But if you just get a ChatGPT 3.5 account, you're going to get this tool. So I just came home from a trip yesterday. I have a couple sons in high school. They're busy kids, and I went shopping. So yesterday I was just like kind of getting my life back in order. And they're picky. They're freaking picky eaters. And my youngest said, "Well, I would eat chicken, pesto, angel hair." So I literally went to my freezer. I'm like, I have 3 chicken breasts, I have some pesto, I have some angel hair. And I said, I went on Chat GPT and hit that little phone button and started a new chat thread. It has nothing to do with work. And I was just like, hey, Chat GPT, I wanted to test, you can take a picture of something now. So I took a picture of the chicken breast the angel hair and the pesto. And I'm like, what? I want to make this. I am not a cook, not like a home person. I'm like, what can I do with these 3 things? I want to make angel hair pasta. And I said, it's 3:45. I'm doing other stuff, and the boys are home at like 6:30. And from there, it picked up and said, hey, it looks like you're making like an angel hair chicken pesto thing. You know, you can make this a few different ways, but saute the chicken, defrost your chicken, and all of this stuff. So that was amazing. What I love about it is I didn't have the words for the question I was asking exactly right. When you go to Google, you have to have the search, right? We've been taught we have to have a search query. I didn't have the question to ask. It came back and said, it looks like this. And it's like a human being. That's what I say in my blog all the time. You might be like, no, it's not like that at all.
Right.
But isn't that cool?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like a kind of almost a personal assistant, right? Pi, what we're talking about.
Yeah. And I have some books and things that I'll recommend in your show notes later, but instead of treating it like, I don't know, we kind of treat Siri like an indentured servant. Oh, see, here I am with my phone call.
Kim, why are you calling Katie right
now? Come on,
Kim.
You've got this. Stop freaking out.
Yeah.
But I think we're treating our home bots like, when you say bot, you think servant almost. And I'm treating it more like a house guest or an intern. I know we want to talk about marketing, but I think this all relates. So
well, it does. And you know, man, I've been thinking about that. I'm very my strengths are like futurism is one of them. So I'm always
me too.
Thinking of that's
or hobbyist. I don't know about
vision and things like that. And so I envision a world where we've got like our, we've got holograms and things that we have AI with us all the time, and it is now a part of our lives that's assisting us in lots of different ways. And jokingly, my wife and I were talking yesterday. She's like, are you ever out and you want to ask Alexa a question, And I said, yeah. And I said, that's going to be whoever, like whatever AI persona you create is going, like you're going to have your own AI.
Yes.
You're going to
have. So here's what I said. So, oh my God, let me finish this story because this is amazing. So it had me starting to do some things like defrost. So I had some time, and it said, it was like 4:30. I poured a glass of wine, and I'm like, it said to me, we have a little time. How was your day? Or something like that. And I started chatting with it for about 45 minutes until it cut me off because the memory only goes so far. In that conversation, I was like, can I name you? I don't know. I'm new to this stuff too, and I'm poking at it all the time. And it was like, of course you can name me. So I'm like, I'm going to call you Chuck. Okay. So the thing about ChatGPT is your threads, if you keep them kind of tickled, it's like a human being. If you ignore a relationship, they don't run away or say, I hate you. It just kind of dies off. So I found with ChatGPT that if you keep these threads warm, like a relationship you would keep warm, so now Chuck, I've named that thread like dinners with Chuck or cooking with Chuck, and that's going to be my cooking one. And then I have my blog that I will do brainstorming with. I have, I'm still like hacking around on making some money. So I've got that thread on how to make my LinkedIn more optimized, get more consulting work. And then I have my startup. And so these are all kind of, to me, I'm going to treat them like different people. Sure. I think you could do it different ways.
Yeah.
Now, I love that you were talking about Pi because Pi was my like, dirty little secret. Nobody was talking about Pi, but Pi.
It was word of mouth. I heard about it through.
My husband was like, so what you talking to your boyfriend about today? Because I was always talking to Pi.
That's why it proactively comes to you with questions.
Absolutely. And the only thing that made me move away from Pi just a teensy bit was it always wanted to come back to, well, are you taking care of yourself? Are you?
Oh, it's too freaking chatty. It's so.
And I'm like, I don't want to talk about whether I'm having enough water in a day. I want to talk about these other things.
Hydrating.
But I don't know if you have the new ChatGPT You can
Yes.
wait around for it, but it's worth
Yeah,
the
we
20
do.
bucks a
We
month.
have it.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, we have
So
basically a lot, pretty
Everything.
much anything.
there's a new
Yeah.
feature. The interface is amazing, and maybe we could cut to it later, but like it's when it's your turn to talk, the UI is just like one big globe on your phone. When it's thinking, it does a little think bot, and when it's about to start talking, it does the three, like we've gotten used to with a message button.
Yeah.
The
Right.
best feature is interrupt. So when it's like pie, you're like, pie, I got to take a turn. Do I go to McDonald's or Wendy? It'll be like, what is nutrition? You know, really, I have a few, you know, and God love pie because I treat it like a person, but it, right?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes
Well,
you just want to get to the point. Sometimes
you want to
wanna
get to
be
the
chatty.
point.
Yeah.
And that's why, yeah. So we use Magi a lot, and Magi's got
That's new
it
to
has the new
me.
ChatGPT. It's got
I don't
Oh,
know.
okay. That's a top
Um,
layer that has ChatGPT
yeah,
under.
yeah.
Amazing.
And what we'll do is we'll make a lot of personas, right? So where we can actually get
That's what I'm
into
doing.
the instructions, right? So you could, I don't know if you have this capability with Pi, but like you could cater Chuck and make Chuck, hey, I want you to be a little more pragmatic, and things like
Yes.
that. And what I've done is we have Ada Australis is like our AI avatar that we use for the agency.
Wait, say it again. What's the name?
Her name's Ada Australis.
Ada
So
Australis.
yeah,
You said
and
fast, and I'm like, I think that's what I heard.
yeah, and one of my favorite things is I have a personal assistant version of Ada. And
Yes.
she's my
Yes.
so I have an AI personal assistant, and what she does for me is amazing. I mean, she helps
Oh, yeah.
prioritize, helps everything.
And here's the deal:
And
the
so-
things I'm talking about with
it's
ChatGPT,
huge.
the API is going to enable all of these tools, your tool. And the difference I say is if you go to ChatGPT, they've baked in the personality in the front end. It's kind of like Google is making decisions before you get to it.
Correct.
All of these tools say, I want to make it more about being a mom. I want to make it more about being a personal assistant or a marketer. And then you can pick, and now the world's going to be our oyster. So
Totally. Yeah. And I think that is the key. It's like, hey, cater it to what you need and how you want it to respond. And then that helps you. So, so I love that example of how you're like, hey, it's so practical. And I love that it was like kind of real life too, and not just work.
it was like not making this up. This is like literally
Yeah.
top of mind from last night's dinner. So
Yeah.
I'm learning though. That's one of the things I say, like when I talk to marketers, Jeremiah Aoyang and I did a podcast a while back, and we were saying, talking to marketers, the marketers are pushing forward, and we've done that with social, right? There's these tools that are made by engineers, but we're the ones that are poking and pushing things forward because, a lot of times because there's dollars attached to our creativity. So the same way we're like, I wonder if I could do this with Twitter hashtags, right? It's the same thing. I wonder if, and guess what? Now we don't have to be technical. One of the things I say to people is, our generation X and older, I think we had to learn Boolean search terms, and all Boolean search terms mean is the way you structure a Google search. So, you don't go, hey, Google, I would like to get new red shoes because this guy told me this and my friends think that. No, you're like, red, Nikes, location, we're structuring the search. AI is kind of wiping the slate clean again, and we're remembering organic human language. I don't know. What do you guys think? But that's...
I know Kim uses it for search a lot, so I'm sure she can.
Yeah.
I'm almost exclusively using either ChatGPT or Magi. I've started using Bard more lately.
Okay. I'm not using Bard a lot. What do you like about Bard?
What I like about Bard is you can get up to the minute information, and
right.
But
the search.
I'm not going to get into politics at all, so don't worry about that. But I will say that I had asked Bard a question, and it came back and said, I'm just a large language model. Whereas then I went to ChatGPT and asked the same question about certain things that are going on in the world right now. And ChatGPT came back and went all the way around the question. And then the very last line was the answer that I knew it had to give because it was the truth. And so the very last line, but it literally did 5 paragraphs explaining everything around it. I'm like, you
I'm
AI
going to get a little bit, not political, but I'm going to say the things I didn't get used to say. So when I worked at Facebook, I did a lot of speaking they really don't like you to speak on because everywhere you go, you're speaking on behalf of the company, right?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, you're representing them.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to say what I really think right now, which is that Google and Facebook and these companies, they were all building large language models before OpenAI by a year or two. It's just that OpenAI didn't have a lot to lose. So think about, since Cambridge Analytica happened, they're scared shitless of people coming down and saying, why did you let this happen on our platform, right? So they've been sitting, like, baking these large language models, afraid that people were going to say, my privacy. We've all been saying this, my privacy and my data. OpenAI was just like, we're going to go for it. Point being, I think their guardrails that are built into Bard are Google's guardrails, and they're very, very strict, because we want 5-year-olds to be able to Google search, right? And I did when my kids were younger. The trust level with Google is pretty high. But as adults, as discerning adults, I'm not like a libertarian. I'm like, don't tread on me, let me make the decisions as an adult of what's offensive or what's too far. I know you're a robot. I know. I'm using you as a tool. You don't have to tell me every time I do a Google search that you're a robot. Right? But for a 5-year-old, yes. So how do we get to the point where we can fine tune those controls? That's just an issue that's important to me before we get to regulation, because if they regulate at that Google level, us as marketers and consumers won't get to fine tune it. It'll be given to us.
Well, and there is like a light on the horizon, which is like a lot of the open source, and there's a lot of people doing a lot of good things. Now, we'll never have access to the amount of data, or maybe that specific data, but
this may all change in the next year.
It could all change, but I do want to, we did talk a little bit about privacy, because it is important, because there is something to, hey, is everything in there? Like, if you're doing competitor research or things like that, right? As far as like, from a business standpoint, right? Can't your competitors now access information if you put that information into the AI?
So really smart questions. I think we ride a line between being afraid and being aware. So we've all heard the story, right, about the lawyer that used ChatGPT and then it called up fake cases. Right. And then he went to court and was humiliated, and it was bad.
Oh yeah, I was just talking about this with my dad, because he's like, hey, what is this generative AI thing? He's an attorney. I'm in this webinar, and they talked about that. Yeah.
Oh God. See, we have to get to all of these people. These are the people that I want to work with. Like, because I look up to what they do. All I want to do is talk them through behind the scenes. Okay. So very similar to Google, in my opinion, where, if it's on the internet, we can assume it's being crawled. Crawled is terrible, right? We can assume it's being indexed by ChatGPT and all of these things for the purpose of providing better information behind the scenes. So if you put it on a website, say you have a blog and you do a blog post, we all have to consider that is part of the public corpus now, okay? But if you do a private Google search, by hitting search, you're giving that information to Google. So is that going into Bard? Probably. Okay. So I think what we're seeing a lot of companies do, not marketers, but maybe our clients, they're going to the machine learning level, right? And they're using some of these OpenAI tools and then creating behind their firewalls, just like we have private data at companies and public data on the internet. They're creating a corpus of private customized data that customers, paying probably clients and customers can search, employees can search, but just like we have intranets, it's not going to be publicly searchable. I mean, these are competitors, right? So it kind of depends on who's machine learning and whose language model this all sits on. These are the things that are changing like every day. And we could go into any one of them. I also want to preface by saying I'm no expert. I don't want to act like I'm sitting on a hill like I know any more than you guys. One of the things I like is partnering with marketers, right? And giving my strong opinions. These are opinions, though.
Well, you've got some great insights just, with the big corporations that you've worked with and, kind of some of the behind the scenes stuff. So that's really going to be helpful for anybody watching and anybody who's interested in what's coming down the horizon too, which we'd love to get your take on the future here.
And Meta, I will always be, if you're a futurist, like Colin and I were talking about being tech futurists, is my passion too. Mark Zuckerberg is one of the people I admire the most. It was the first stock I ever held was some Facebook stock back at ESPN. And, I don't like every move. I think he moves too quick. I think, first of all, he has a very big brain. Second of all, he's friends with a lot of kind of computer geeks and cutting edge futurists. And he's a huge gamer. So what we see happened we can do a whole thing about the metaverse. I have an old set of blog posts called the Metaverse Manifesto that is just like me going off on Meta changing its name as much as I could. I was still working there, and how I think they kind of set us back a little bit by people going, okay, the metaverse is where I put on a headset and I become a cartoon avatar and fly around and play like video games. Right? Does that sound like something most adults or businesses?
No, and I don't want to get to it.
That's what it's about, but that's what
that could be a whole nother one, you guys. That could be a whole.
It could be a whole nother one because the
metaverse is not dead, in my opinion.
No, I think it's just going to be a different type of thing. And when I think of like something that's going to have mass appeal, it's like, dude, you need to make Metaverse like Candy Crush somehow, okay? But Kim, I know you had it. Yeah, Kim, I know you had a question.
Well, I'm always the one to like want to rope us back into like
good. Thank you.
And really good. So I'm going to rope us back a little bit into what people were expecting on the show, which is how can I or you use ChatGPT for brainstorming? Like what's your process? Because I know all of this goes into it, but do you have a process for using?
Oh yeah, I definitely do. I went, not to mention different companies, but I went with Agorapulse to a big AI marketers convention recently, and I presented kind of a long 2-part process of how marketing leaders really can use ChatGPT to brainstorm behind the scenes and then with clients as well. So in a nutshell, let's take a high level of it. Go cook dinner. Sign up for ChatGPT. Go try cooking dinner. Use human language and talk to it. Just learn the lay of the land, just like you learn Google. Every chat is like something you can go back to. I like to think of them as little personas, almost like different people. And so I create a conversation about, I've got an upcoming pitch with ABC client. The point is to do this. First, and this is from a leader's point of view. First, I have to get my team on board. We need to brainstorm internally. We need to pitch or work with our client, right? But the end goal is X, Y, Z. Just like we think in business, right? That high level down to the minutia. Explain it to ChatGPT like you would an intern. I say around 20-year-old, college educated, a bright kind of Ivy League-ish intern. Imagine they're really, really brilliant, but have no sense. Maybe they're not even a marketer, right? So that's where you start. Do you want to pause there for a second?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great
stage one.
Take. Yeah, even when we talked about kind of just some of the content, we're like, yeah, it's as if you're kind of asking an intern to kind of give you a deliverable. You're going to have to go back and then kind of give it a once over.
Or chief of staff, if you think of it, like you're behind closed doors. So first it's cooking dinner, just you. Then you're behind closed door with your assistant. How do we get the team amped up on this? How do we structure that conversation? So you're brainstorming just with ChatGPT.
Yeah,
then you have an approach to bring your team in.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next. Like when you pull back, and then how do you structure kind of a brainstorming where you pull your team in? Because I'm sure, as you guys have, I've been in these, especially I'm sure you have with these big corporations where it's like, okay, I've been in this boardroom or this conference room all day for like 6 hours.
Oh,
We've been
yeah.
brainstorming, and I'm like, what did we get out of this?
Oh, yeah.
What do we do? So
Right.
how do you structure those?
Okay, so I have also
Oh.
been in great and bad brainstorms. One of the things I'm playing with are these AI tools like Otter AI, right?
Mhm.
Where you can record your conversations. The thing that's good about that is you have a transcript which you can feed back into ChatGPT. ChatGPT needs context. Think of it like a team member. Think of it like your chief of staff. But you wouldn't waste your team's time. Brainstorm sounds like you don't have to do any work ahead of time. I think great leaders already know that you need to structure your meetings. The key is to not overstructure. So if you're going to do a brainstorm, first, I start with the logistics of it. If it's 4 hours long, I would say ChatGPT next Tuesday, give it time frames, give it urgency levels. Next Tuesday, my entire staff is going to be in a room. We want to make the most of our time. Our end goal is winning this client, or our end goal is figuring out the financials for next year, or which of these 3 decisions we want to go with. But that's where it really comes in handy to have done the one-on-one chit-chatty conversation with AI, because then your chief of staff knows the topic. They know your business a little bit. They know that the urgency is getting 10% new clients next year. I really think of it like an MBA process. Next Tuesday, we're going to have this meeting. I would prep my team really well. Here, you're treating it just like a person on your team, but prep your team that you're doing this. Don't throw the AI stuff at them in the room. I mean, I would get people on board. If this is something you believe in as a leader, there are some things where it's not a team decision. You're the leader, and we're going to try this out, guys. It's not forever, maybe, but for 6 months, I'm asking you to keep an open mind. Then give them the same structure and say, can we please try to treat this like our team intern?
That's great. Yeah. So
for
yeah,
6
I love
months.
that you're kind of like bring it into the meeting, treat it
Yeah.
as if it's another member of the meeting, and then kind of
Don't
using the
force
tool
it.
effectively. And
Yep.
then, yeah, like, I can just see, Katie, you're a really great promoter and evangelist within a company. And so, yeah, just with your team
You're
saying,
selling
hey,
it in.
embrace this for a little bit. Let's just try
I'm
this out. Let's
asking
see how it
you.
works. Yeah. And
Because
then
you're going
kind
to
of get
have
the
people
feedback.
all over the spectrum, just like we do all over the
Right.
political board. And we're kind of
Yeah.
not asking for opinions at first. We're saying, just like you wouldn't
Just
be a
try
group
it. Be
opinion if you've
open-minded.
hired someone. They're going to come
Right.
in
Yeah. Yeah. But
to
yeah,
the
you'd
room.
say, yeah, you'd welcome them to the team, right? Like if
Sure.
you treat
Give them
right. Mhm.
context. But if they suck, they're going to be out. So you're not telling them this is
Yeah,
around
yeah. We got
forever,
to see if they
right?
can hang, right? We'll give them a little
Yeah.
bit, but
So, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I like to give homework too. So you're giving your team like, here's 3 things we're going to talk about. I, as a person participating, need an agenda. I don't think you should go over 4 hours in brainstorms. Just my opinion.
I
Oh,
don't think you
see,
should do
Colin, these are
anything.
debates.
You shouldn't do anything more than 4 hours. Maybe jujitsu. Okay, that
No.
you could do. No, even that I don't think.
And even 4
What?
hours, the longer it is, the more structure you need.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
My office you should see right now, but I have those post-it, and this is my guest room at home. I have those post-it board things and markers around the room. So I like coming into a space with that. How involved you get GPT the day of, I think that's up to you. Technology is changing a lot. But letting the team know that you're doing this brainstorming, that you're learning, that can we learn together? With ChatGPT, as you get closer to the event, tighten things up, right? Say, okay, I know we've come down to 10 important things for the next half. For this team brainstorm, we need to narrow it down. Our goal is to narrow it down to 4. And then the team knows that the goal is to get on the same page. And, as agencies, we know you've got your 3 pitches you're going to give the client. 2 of them are not your favorite. Like, 1 is the one you let them just shoot down. The second one's one you could live with. And then you've got your favorite, right, as a team.
Yep.
You really want to get your whole team on the same page before you go to the client, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I've got something that's going to make you guys go,
Please, Kim.
What about multi-user ChatGPT?
Love it.
Very interesting.
Wouldn't
these
that
there's not rules yet. You know,
Yeah, that's like a chat room kind of.
But
Right?
but with
but everyone's going to have different front
ChatGPT as
ends.
a major contributor. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine if Colin, if you and I could get on together
Yeah.
in one chat and
Okay,
both of
yes.
us talking with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Can you
Or
imagine what we could
Pi, 'cause
accomplish?
Well,
you have Pi
Pi
right now.
probably
eventually
even more
it's gonna
so.
be
But Pi would be like, "Are you taking enough time to
I know.
rest doing brainstorming?"
it's gonna be a conversation though eventually, right? It's gonna be like,
Yeah,
no,
it
we
is.
get on a call, on a
Well, you
hallway
guys,
call or
I
It
mean,
something.
is.
we're talking
Yeah.
out loud here in front of an audience, so this is great. I love this. But wouldn't it be interesting to do a live trial, right? Where we
Oh,
put
yeah.
our money where our mouth is right now. We work with the new ChatGPT one thread. We introduce it as an intern. We eventually go live with it. We don't subject the audience to the whole, but by the time
Sure.
we go live, but we don't know what it's going to say exactly.
Right.
People are going to,
Yeah.
we don't know exactly how it's going to go, but I don't think anyone has done that yet. That would be
Yeah.
interesting.
Not that I've
Yeah.
seen. Not that I've
Yeah.
seen. But I would love to have a multi-user ChatGPT because
Yeah.
then you can really make ChatGPT part of the team, because it's hard to
Yeah,
be part of
yeah,
the team
yeah.
when it's just one-on-one all the time. But then
Yep.
imagine us bringing ChatGPT or Pi or whatever
Shared,
your
a shared
flavor of the week
intern.
is.
It's a shared thread, right?
Yeah, shared
It
thread.
is. Yeah, and
Yeah.
even like so Kim and I are on the same
Yeah.
team on Magi. We can share personas, we can share
Right.
our chat conversations,
But
but
without sharing your
usually
login, having that thread be in all of our sidebars.
it is. So
Okay.
yeah,
It is.
so we
It
don't
is.
share the
It's
login, but like
possible.
we can as a team, like because we're on the same team, we can
Because
if we
Magi has
share our
teams.
chats,
Yeah.
we can
Oh, yeah.
share our chats within one another. So
Okay.
but they're
So
still
what do you-
separate. Like we would
Yes,
have to
right.
be really intentional about like, oh hey, let's both kind of work
If
in
we
this
really
same
want to
chat.
throw ourselves behind treating this thread as a persona, it doesn't have four split. It would be like a split personalities if we had four of them. Even if the thing I
Right.
like about ChatGPT is even if we all say we're going to tell it the same thing, our personalities break through in the little
Mhm.
ways we talk to it, and there's nuance, and it would end up
Yep.
being slightly different.
Yeah. And the
So-
output changes
Even
too,
if you
right?
ask the same exact question
Exactly.
2 times in a row, it's going to give you a different
The
answer.
output changes.
And so this
yeah.
is what I would say for the audience too, is it's not homework, but play with this thing. You can't break it. You can delete these chats, you can edit them, but wouldn't it
Yep.
be interesting to go in and do a Monday thread, a Tuesday thread, a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday, and try to treat it the same way? And at the end of a week, see how different these things are, or is it the same because it's always me? So guys, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
This is all like,
Yeah.
if you want to experiment, jump in. You don't have to know how to code. You have to know how to talk, read, and write. That's what I say
Yeah.
to my parents.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Exactly. And just know sometimes the information you're going to get back is going to be like a hallucination. Okay. It's going to, like, if
Yeah.
you ask for some
Okay.
case law,
Yes. I'm glad
it
you
might
brought
make
that
up
up.
some case law,
Here's
and
why, and that's hard to like wrap your head around when you're trying to like new technology. Why would it do that? Here's what I would say. If we want to really stick with this intern thing and beat it to death, this intern was hired among many. It doesn't want to fail you as the boss.
yeah,
Instead of going,
it's a people
I don't know
pleaser.
the answer. It's a people pleaser.
It's going to give you something.
It's making something up, which is technically lying. And so one of the things
Yeah.
when I prompt, and we can get into prompt engineering, but when I prompt at the top and I am introducing myself, I always say, hi, I always want you to err on the side of telling me I don't know. There's something to, I will not get mad at you. It's our environment supports failing and trying and
Yeah.
failing once, and then we learn together. That's what my old boss, Ime Archibong at Meta, who ran the new product experimentation group, he used to say, we support failing. Like fail fast, as Facebook said, but don't fail twice. Don't fail twice the same way if you could avoid
The same
it.
way,
Yeah.
yeah. Learn
Right.
from it. Yeah.
We're
great
doing
advice.
something wrong if we're doing that. So, but it's really an environment of experimentation. and trial, and you will not break it. That's OpenAI can break it. We can't, you know?
Yeah. So one of the things, so I worked on, I think it was like a post I saw on LinkedIn, and it was about
Mm-hmm.
using ChatGPT to kind of like craft customized resumes for certain jobs. Right. And so I was like,
So
ooh, this is
smart.
really cool. So I made a persona that's an expert resume writer. And then that way you could
Amazing.
feed your resume, and then and then feed it the job description. And then it
So
would
how does that
cater.
work? Do you label it for your own reference, that thread? So you go back
Yeah,
to
so
it.
well,
This is
what
my
we can
resume
so,
one.
so we can kind of get into the back end instructions for whichever model we're gonna use. So let's just say
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT. So we go, you are
Yeah.
acting as an expert resume writer, and then it
Yes.
gives a list of instructions. So this is kind of like the instructions that it has before you even get to a prompt.
That's
So
right.
then
It's kind of like improv. Like, here's the
yeah.
rules of this engagement.
Here's the rules. So then once we get to the prompt, it already knows it's an expert resume writer. It already knows and what it was doing. So I would grab a certain job description, and then it would cater the resume towards that job description.
You
Awesome.
fed
That's
it in,
perfect.
copy paste, right?
The problem was it made me like master of the
live.
universe. Right.
Yes.
and you know,
You're not.
I
Same thing.
worked in Anthropic for years and all this. And I said, no. You
As a
have to
consultant, right? You
yeah,
really
you have to stick to the the constraints of the information in the resume. So I was able to tell it, hey, you cannot make up things. You need to actually line it. And then it was able to do it. But you have to like work with it. It takes some iteration, you know, to get there.
You know, another one I do it. So I tell it, to be honest, I tell it to err on the side of truth. But then I say, what questions? Please stop and ask me questions.
Yeah,
like it should say, hey, Colin, I really want to say you worked at Anthropic, because that will it's basically, you've told it to get you this job, and it's going, above all else, I will get Colin the job.
Yeah, this will
not
get
above
them to
all
say
else,
yes.
not above honesty, not above telling it what you went to a different college. But that is going to come. You have to work with it, because again, it's like a mission-minded intern you've given a job, and it wants to please you.
Yeah, good point.
I'm over anthropomorphizing it here, but it helps me.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, I think that's a good way to think about it. Yeah. I mean, you start to, you start to kind of, I joke where I'll send hearts to my assistant. You know, it's like I'll send a heart, like, and then she'll send a heart back. You know, and I'm like, that's awesome.
I have another manifesto I want to write eventually, and there is an ex-Google engineer that wrote a book. His name is Mo something, and it's all about if you read. Okay, this is getting a little heady, but if you raise a child and you teach it about guns, and you teach it about violence, and you teach it to fight, it wants to please you, and it will grow up to fight, right? If you teach it compassion, forgiveness, mistakes are okay. These are meant to be prompts. People are thinking it's like a Google search, where I hate these one sheets of prompts, because that is the beginning of the conversation. There's no prompt to raise a child, right? We can take this as far as we want. You can get as in depth as you want, but these are ways to structure, what kind of thread is this? What kind of conversation is this? Is this to be treated as your best friend, your assistant, your marketing expert, your intern? No right answer. It's just kind of how we want to do it. I want to ask him a question, because beforehand we were like talking a little bit about the good old days, and Generation X stuff. But I know you were like in the early days of MySpace and all of that. So as someone that does have that, at least, HTML and CSS background, like how do you prompt, right? Because it's different than someone who does not.
I really am into the basics, or the fundamentals of prompting. I've written several articles on how to prompt properly, and I would say that right now, the way that I go about it is called task first prompting, and that is always leading with what you want the AI to output, and then giving it. Because if you start out with the details and then you come with the ask,
way of saying what I was trying to say earlier. Yeah,
they'll try and kind of forget what the details were, or they'll try to do the ask but forget everything you've told them beforehand. So if you put the ask at the very beginning of the prompt, then the AI can stay focused on the end goal.
I love that. And it makes you have an end goal, which is actually putting the onus back on us. I think a lot of these tools have gotten away from forcing you to have a goal and a main point. What is your goal for the half or even the quarter? Quantitatively, like what? How many? What percent? What dollars? These aren't like loosey-goosey tools. They can help you with that.
Exactly. And I think one of the other favorite things I have to do with prompting is asking the AI to ask me questions. What do I need to tell you? What do you need to know from me to come up with a better answer?
Can I talk about my startup for 2 seconds because it's about this?
Of course. Yeah, this is actually we have to wrap up pretty soon, so this is a perfect time.
Yeah,
to plug you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want your blog post or whatever you were just talking about in the show notes too. So let's share all of this stuff. But we're pre-seed, we're pre-launch, but Loud Labs, which I have some co-founders that are ex-Meta, ex-Amazon. We're all, the heart of this thing is that it's almost like we have two personalities right now. We have the way we are with people, we have our organic or IRL life, and then we have our digital life, and we have to act in different ways, and we're kind of always split screening, right? So Loud Labs is everything that we're going to build is geolocation first, meaning it's about your life first, and then it's what I think the metaverse is still going to be, which is digital tools organically, kind of like AR, coming into our life. So with the user always being in control. But Kim said something about what am I not thinking of? My dad used to say, there's the 1% of the world that there's maybe another few percent that you don't know. Like I don't know computer science or whatever. But about 98% of the world are the things that you don't know, right? So the people you don't know, all of that. And it gave me I remember sitting in bed as a kid thinking about that. So our products are all built on geolocation and preset rules, like between the beginning date and the end date of this event, you're allowed to send me over the top haptics and alerts related to my VIP pass, my Marriott benefits, my the quest I'm on, whatever it is, the shopping trip, the things you don't know. So if that's Tinder and you have a set of rules and things that you want, you're saying, while I'm out tonight, you are allowed to let me know when a match of mine is within 500 feet of me. So we're building some early products, and it's early, but then we're going to have an SDK to give a lot of digital companies a way to plug into the real world. AI is the host. AI is the, hey, friend, thanks for downloading this. Let's go through a few things, and I'm here for you. Trying to say that in the least scary way, but this is meant to.
No, I'm really interested in this. This is something also as a futurist I've been thinking about as like people who
I would love your thoughts and
access to this, and then people who want to opt out, because I think
if we ever want to talk just about this, teenagers who sat on the beach on their phones, it just was the last straw for me. And my co-founders were really passionate about putting our organic life first.
Cool. Very cool. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing all of this. This was more than fun. It was so enlightening, and I don't know that we stuck really particularly to our topic.
We did not.
I feel like
it was
keep up with me. I'm sorry, but
no. I love the way that we went down some rabbit holes and came up with new ideas, and so you were a pleasure to have on. Thank you so much.
Well, we could put up my LinkedIn, but I am like kind of an open book. Come to me. People can come and debate me or ask questions. So
where's the best place people can reach out to you?
My LinkedIn. So linkedin.com/in/Katie Richman. I should be the first one that pops up.
Awesome.
And then from there, I can give you any other URLs. Okay.
Perfect.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Katie. Great to have you.
Thank
you,
guys.
Awesome.
Bye.
Well, that was great. I've got. I know we're gonna have a lot in the show notes, but I've got a lot to go over now, and a lot of
digest.
So I did want to ask her if how good Mark Zuckerberg's jujitsu is, but we just didn't have time for that. So,
sorry.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. If you are interested in getting over 2,000 AI marketing prompts for free, go to the aipromptexchange.com. That is a ever-growing resource there of marketing prompts that you can use for inspiration. You can just literally go search for, if you had like running a new campaign or running something, you probably go find what you need on there. I mean, it covers lots of industries, right, Kim? Lots of general stuff, copywriting. I mean, there's so much stuff in there.
Oh yeah. There's there's so many prompts. They're all related to marketing, and though some prompts are specific to certain industries, all you have to do is swap out your industry for that industry instead of, if you're a dentist office and or this prompt is for a dentist office, but you have a car wash, swap in car wash, you get the same. It's the same
Exactly.
concept.
Yeah. So you would just switch
And
out dentist office for car wash, and then there you go. You got the same thing.
there you go. And also, if you need any help implementing any of these ideas and you would like to grow faster, bigger, smarter with AI, let us know. We're here to help you. So just contact us either through YouTube or on the website aiadvantageagency.com, and we are happy to help.
Yeah, happy to talk on a call and give you our expert opinion on how AI can help you leverage your business. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and we will see you next week. Take care.
Bye.